in hired planes with the plates full of mazondo and so forth, chewing them and eating them as they travel. And you ask yourself, what are you going to do there that you can't do here? Let's bring our people together to work for our countries and for our people. That is the first investment we must direct ourselves to. Africa runs after those colonial powers. You are asking somebody who had colonized yesterday to say, come and help me to develop my country. Do you think he'll come? I want to see Comrade Malema as a multi-billionaire. I want to see billionaires coming out of these young people in the EFF. Comrade Julius, our struggle in Zimbabwe is only just about to begin. We cannot any longer tolerate the nonsense that is happening. The pain in our people is too much. Queues day in and out. Our people are running South Africa, and we thank you for your stance against xenophobia. It is a fact. Thousands of our people are here. They have no papers. That humiliation of living in a country without that support is too much. And I hope and trust that as Zimbabweans, we must take the bull by the horns. It's not about enmity. It's about correcting comrades who have gone wayward. They want more money. They want more riches. They have lost the direction of the revolution. When they meet, hear their resolutions. None of the resolutions make sense. People are talking about, well, what can I do? What can I get? Push government to do that. Yet they have no basis upon which to move forward. Comrade Julius, I know wherever the old man is, he is saying, Malema, go on and move forward. Thank you very much, comrades.
Mandla Rotendas Vikuru Kasukwere. So in Shona, when you say thank you say Rotendas Vikuru. In Swahili, you say Asante Sana. So thank you very much, Comrade Tyson, Comrade Xavier Kasukwere. Before we call the next round of messages of support, we want to acknowledge the EFF leadership in Zimbabwe, led by the national convener. The Zimbabwe delegation can stand up to wave. And we want to acknowledge the EFF Malawi, led by the convener in Malawi. Can stand up and raise your hand. And also want to acknowledge the EFF Lesotho. They've just started now, but there is too much excitement in Lesotho in terms of work of the EFF there. Comrades, the next speaker that we're going to call is a ground force of the revolution. It's a ground force in the war for economic freedom. And just to give you a brief history is that we met on the trenches in 2012 when the commander-in-chief was in Marikana after the ANC government had killed workers there. In the first memorial service that was organized there, the main speakers was the commander-in-chief Julius Malema and the president of AMCU, Joseph Matunjwa. So we're going to call him to come and give the message of support. In the platinum belt is called Bwebindala. He's the one who defeats hunger. The president of AMCU, Comrade Joseph Matunjwa. The platform is yours. Manta! Viva AMCU, viva! Viva AMCU, viva! Viva Basebenzi, viva! Comrade Matunjwa.
Thank you. Amandla. Maibuye Africa, maibuye. Maubuye mnotho Africa, maubuye. Qina EFF, qina. Bashise EFF, bashise. Siyabulela, siyabulela. Message of support from Association of Man Workers and Construction Union to the National Assembly of Economic Freedom Fighters. Commander-in-Chief, Comrade Julius Malema, distinguished guests and VIPs, comrades, all protocol observe. As President of AMCO, I greet you on behalf of the National Council of the Association of Mine Workers and its members in general. It must be said that the EFF was established exactly the right time in South Africa. The frustration of the people of our country was mounting, and the hopelessness of the most vulnerable ones in society was reaching the boiling point. EFF, never underestimate yourself. You have saved South Africa from itself. You provided a platform and a channel by which the frustration could be voiced and the feelings of the masses of South Africa. This Congress should be a reflection. You must never forget where we come from and how we came into existence. The EFF, there are numerous parallels between the EFF and AMCO. Both leaders were kicked out from their comfortable zone of the Tripartite Alliance. Comrade Julius, we can ask yourself today, where are your detractors when they were saying EFF will never see another day? We are living in the trying times where we battle to keep the heads above water. Many predicted that this organization will be thrown in the desert where there will be no water to drink, to squash the revolutionary thirst. But today we are here in the second assembly of the EFF. Similarly, EFF sprouted growth from frustration and the yearning for the better life of the majority of the South African. This shows us that the like-minded, if can work together, we can make a difference in our country and in the continent. We know it remains a challenge, but we first need to know who we are before we can take a rightful position as the people of the country and the continent. Not as the robots remote controlled by other foreign forces, as we were made for them and for them alone. As if we are tools in their hands, and then if only we exist to make them rich on the back of our sweat and tears. No, we must be born again, comrades, not physically, but in mind and spirit, not just in the physical sense, but also in the Creator's image. We are created to be free. We are not created to be the slaves of other nations. We were given dominion and power to control ourselves and to take a rightful position on the planet Earth. Not that we are created in the image of other races. God never created a white man or a black man, nor an Indian, nor a colored, but he created a person in his image to have dominion. So we cannot allow to have other nations to have dominion on us and exploit our resources in the expense of democracy. The democracy that we see today has been hijacked by the weak leaders, of which the democracy has become a yoke in our necks. So EFF, we are in a better position today to liberate Africa, to liberate South Africa, and to take the baton, and we move forward. You are the fire. The colors of your red shows that you are the fire. If the fire burns, it changes everything. Something green must be grown up. I give you the best, Amin, of this Congress. May the God, Lord, give you and guide you and elect not the eco-centric leaders, but the leaders that will direct South Africa and take it into a right platform. May the God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to take you.
Viva President Mathunjwa, viva! Viva AMCO, viva! Pansi Ramaphosa, Pansi! Pansi Ramaphosa, Pansi! Amandla! Away to! Thank you very much, President of AMCO. Comrades, the next speaker we're going to call has been in the revolution for a very long time. We have fought side by side in the past we were fighting against the 1996 class project, only to replace it with something else elsewhere. And then when that was replaced with was even a bigger problem. And he became a victim of the then former organization called COSATU. I'm now introducing to you the last General Secretary of COSATU, the current General Secretary of SAFTU, Comrade Zimbabwe. Viva, va, viva!
Mata, away two, Mata, Aruna, Matimba, Aina, Manda, Asu, all power to the working class. All power, all power. Long live the EFF, long live. Thank you, Comrade Deputy President Floyd Shivambo. President, I've refused to call him anything else. President, I'm still sticking to the line. The last democratically elected president of another organization that used to be so powerful. And he had, in return, refused to call me anything. The last democratically elected General Secretary of the once powerful formation. And the top six, the leadership, the Central Command, and all of you, dear leaders, and now you are not leaders here, you are delegates. We are very happy to be here, comrades, and to be received in the manner that you have received us. We coming from a very young organization of just over 2 years now. It's an organization founded on principles that are not dissimilar to those that have created EFF. But above all that, we are an independent organization, but that is not class neutral, that is not apolitical. And that's why we are very at ease to be amongst you, the revolutionaries and the ground forces of the EFF. So I bring you revolutionary greetings, which are socialist-laced from SAFTU. And best wishes to all of you, and may you have a successful Congress until you conclude your business on the 16th, that historic day. Second thing I wanted to say, comrades, briefly, and I don't want to steal anything from what Julius has said. We want to express our gratitude, and we want to remind you of the real potential that exists in our country if we were to forge unity between the independent trade union movement and the EFF. And I've expressed this, everybody knows what I'm going to say. Thank you very much for the victory at the Wits University that saw the insourcing of workers at even higher wages. And thank you very much that those workers today have overalls. Do you know how important it is to wear an overall when you used to work on your own clothes? Thank you very much for the victories at UNISA. Thank you very much for the victories at the TUT. I can go on and count also the victory in Johannesburg Metropolitan. I wonder kuzokwenzeka ntoni ngoku Thixo wam. This is, Comrade, very important and underline how important and how big the potential can be if we were to suppress all these other things and forge unity of the left forces, of the socialist forces in our country. And Comrade President was correct. The trade union movement fought and fought and fought for many years to get the workers insourced. You came to the fore in just 6 years of existence. We now can count genuine and real benefits for workers on the ground. And my last point, after thanking you, comrades, I want to land on this issue of unity. Comrades, we are under siege. We are taking such a beating from the capitalist class and its state. We are seeing levels of unemployment that we have not heard of in our history. We're seeing youth disappearing and lost the entire generations to drugs and booze. 58% of them are unemployed. 47% of the African black women are unemployed. 63% of our population live in poverty. We pick up 57 bodies in our country every day in our streets as a result of the violence targeted against everybody, including women and children, the most vulnerable sections of our communities. What we cannot afford to do as the left is to grow big egos that will stop us from reaching out to one another and holding hands with one another in a common struggle to change our situation in this country. SAF2 started very, very well in 2018, and once again, your presence in that march on the 25th of April was so obvious. But we went into a lull because of our own internal battles and issues. We are now beyond them. We're coming out of the Central Committee. We want to make 2020 as the year where the left forces in this country should form a single devastating movement to put a stop to the nonsense that is unfolding in this country. You know, Comrade Julius, a few weeks ago I get told that the IMF says South Africa is the 6th wealthiest country in the world. And I said, nonsense. But I remember, oh, hold on. They are counting the mines. They are counting the most beautiful land. They are counting their banks. They are counting the trucks that are moving that economy into the nearest harbors for it to make and create jobs elsewhere. They are counting the wines that arrive in Europe that comes out of our land. They are counting the wealth that is occupied by the less than 1% of the population. And yet, if you look at the other statistics from the ILO, already 15 years ago, they're saying this rich and wealthy country has the 6th worst unemployment rate in the entire world. Next year, comrades, Let's start with the sauna and do a small jab there to Ramaphosa. Secondly, let's do a bigger punch when that budget that is going to represent the worst attack on the working class and the living standards of the poor, when Tito Mboweni reads that neoliberal austerity budget. And thirdly, by April, May, comrades, this is my plea, let's occupy every city in this country. Let's start with Johannesburg and put it on ice for 3 days and make the demands that are part of your 7 cardinal demands, which serve to support. Let's demand our land now. Let's demand jobs for our young people now. Let's demand an end to violence directed against our women and children now. Let's demand that the inequalities that have made us to be the worst country with so many inequalities be ended now. And above all, let's demand that Ramaphosa be placed on jail where he belongs, together with the other looters who will continue to live from the sweat and toiling of our masses in our country. Thank you very much. Good luck, comrades, in your Congress.
Amanda! Forward to socialist working class unity, forward! Forward to 20 years, the year of militancy of the working class, forward! Amanda! Away, 2! Thank you very much, General Secretary of SAF2. I'm sure that this NPA is going to deliberate on the very progressive recommendations that are consistent with our agenda and resolve on them. And thank you very much to all the messages of support that have been given here. Comrades, we have received a lot of messages of support from different parts of the world and of the continent. And we have received messages of support domestically from our friends, from those that could not make it here. But there is a specific message that we are going to read so that it is placed on record of the second NPA of the EFF. It is a message from the Zinzi Mandela Foundation. And it reads as thus, that the Zinzi Mandela Foundation sends revolutionary well wishes to the EFF ahead of the National People's Assembly. The Zinzi Mandela Foundation wishes the economic freedom fighters every success in its second elective conference, the National People's Assembly, which is to take place this weekend. In the short space since the establishment of the EFF, it has played a major role in changing South Africa's political landscape. The young party has grown in leaps and bounds in numbers, but with what will be of paramount importance during this weekend's proceedings is a review of the impact the revolutionary fighters have made in contributing to legislation and to the material conditions of the black majority of this country, who are the poorest of the poor. Whatever the outcome of that review, we as the Zinzi Mandela Foundation are hopeful that the EFF will find solutions to accelerating its strategic objectives of reversing 100 years of brutal oppression. Best wishes from the CEO of the Zinzi Mandela Foundation. We thank the Zinzi Mandela Foundation for that message. Viva Zinzi Mandela, viva! Long live the fighting spirit of Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, long live! Amanda! Away, 2! Thank you very much, comrades. We are done with this section of the messages of support. And in terms of the agenda, we're going to hand over now to the Deputy Secretary General to give us the credentials of this National People's Assembly. And then thereafter, the National Chairperson will come back to guide the other part of this particular assembly. DSG.
Amandla. Amandla. Long live EFF, long live. Thank you very much, Deputy President. President, Delegate, I'm here to present credentials to this second National People's Assemblies as follows. Per province, Eastern Cape expected voting delegates is 467, present is 366. Free State expected 259, present 220. Gauteng expected voting delegates is 560, present is 511. KZN expected is 575, present is 441. Limpopo expected is 621, present is 539. Mpumalanga expected is 449, present is 399. Northwest expected is 409, present is 345. Northern Cape expected 181, present is 128. Western Cape expected is 225, present is 179. CCT members expected 53 and present are 52. The total expected voting delegates is 3799. Present is 3180. Therefore, Deputy President, we correct. Thank you. Just the round of percentage. Okay, in terms of percentage, President, we are making it 84%.
Mandla. Thank you very much, DSG. We will now, we've had the credentials. If there are any corrections or anything like that, otherwise we get a mover for adoption. Where are the roving mics? Whoever has got a mic, can you? Yes. Okay, in the middle of after the first block here, in the middle there are mics. So whoever is a mover must move to one of the mics that have been placed. Okay, do I see any hands? There's a hand there at the back. Somebody standing with a white.
Yeah. On. Is it on?
Yes.
My name is Derek Hendrikse. I'm from the Western Cape. And I move that we accept the credentials.
Sorry, can you tell us which ward you represent?
I'm from Ward 15, Cayman, Stellenbosch.
Thank you very much. Western Cape moves for adoption. I'll go this side. Right there at the back, next to the black curtain thing, yeah? Yeah, with the cap, with the black cap. Please go to the mic and identify yourself and make your input.
Thank you very much, National Chair. My name is Papi Machiche in Sidibeng, Ward 1, Gauteng Province. I would just need clarity. There was no mere mention of RCT and PCT delegates. Can we get the numbers for the RCT and PCT? Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, okay. Just for clarity, when we say voting delegates from a particular province, We're including those RCT and PCT delegates. Cacile, ne? It's clear. Yeah, so they are included. The only ones that were mentioned separately by DSG were the CCT delegates, where there were 53 expected and 52 present. Okay, there's a mover for adoption. We need a seconder. Yes, yeah, at the back. Yeah, yes, you. Okay, oh no, let's get a female fighter from the same province, yes. Sorry. Yes, you can come, There's no mic there.
Hello, my name is Flora Madike from Limpopo and Mopani. I stand here to second for the move of the credentials. Thank you.
Thank you, Fighter Flora. Okay, I don't see any hands or any objection. That means the credentials are duly adopted. Thank you, delegates. So, what is that? Is that a hand there from Western Cape? Eastern Cape, okay. Can you have one person standing up? Who's going to speak on whatever issue it is? Going?
No, Commissar, we don't object anything. Let's carry on.
Okay, the credentials are adopted again. All right, moving on. We don't have a lot of time, comrades. Moving on, we're going to now go to a presentation of the and adoption of the NPA rules. What is that? The one who's got a mic? Okay. I don't know, someone raised their hand.
My name is Siabulela Shasha Siyongwana from Ward 20 in Nelson Mandela region, Eastern Cape. I hereby with the National Chairperson to present a letter of seeking membership clarity of Kamvelihle Goba.
Chief, no. Is that, we're dealing with credentials now. If you want to raise a special issue, you can contact the SG. We're following the program for now. Unless if that falls under credentials. Credentials are adopted. I will call on the Deputy President to do a presentation and adoption of the NPA rules and procedure, EFF, of this EFF second NPA. TP. Mandla, comrades, delegates, this document which is written agenda and rules, here it's a small booklet. From page 4, we're going to read the normal rules of the EFF in terms of what are the rules that are going to guide this National People's Assembly. Now that the conference has been duly constituted, we must adopt the rules. Rule number 1 is that only duly accredited delegates or those recognized by the steering committee will be allowed into plenary and commission sessions. All delegates and observers will have the right to speak in plenary. All duly accredited participants will have a right to speak in commissions. Delegates wishing to speak must indicate their intention by raising their hands. The Assembly Chairperson will decide on orders of speakers and shall ensure that there shall be a spread of speakers from various delegations. A delegate may speak in any official language. Delegates will be allowed to speak maximum of 3 minutes in plenary sessions. The Assembly Chairperson shall reduce or extend this period. Delegates will be allowed to speak only once during the plenary session on each topic. Each speaker, after being recognized by the chair of the session, will stand at the microphone provided on the floor and state his or her name, branch and region or organization before speaking. If the chairperson calls the speaker to order, the delegate will stop speaking until the chairperson authorizes him or her to continue. Delegates wishing to raise a point of order or ask a question will do so by proceeding to the mic and raise their point of order. On a point of order being raised, discussions shall be suspended to allow an intervention of not more than 1 minute. Thereafter, the chairperson will give his or her ruling. All motions must be proposed and seconded before they are approved for discussions. An exigency motion must be submitted in writing by the proposer and seconded to the steering committee. No business shall be allowed to be discussed which does not arise out of the reports or motions before assembly, unless agreed to by the steering committee. No other points of intervention shall be allowed except those provided for in the rules of the assembly. The mover of a motion or amendment shall be limited to 3 minutes, the seconder to 2 minutes, and all subsequent speakers to 1 minute. The mover of the motion shall close the debate. Voting in plenary will be by show of hands unless a secret ballot is called for and supported by a third of delegates. Questions in dispute not provided for in the present rules of procedure shall be settled in assembly upon proposal from steering committee. In terms of code of conduct, in addition to the normal rules of the EFF Constitution and the Code of Conduct, failure to comply with the following additional rules will constitute a disciplinary offense. Delegates at the National People's Assembly to present views of their branches and other accredited structures, and they are therefore expected to attend all sessions and commissions and to be punctual. Delegates must refrain from any behavior which will bring the EFF or People's Assembly into disrepute. Certain documents distributed at the Assembly may be confidential, and delegates are not allowed to distribute such documents to persons who are not entitled to them. No documents except documents will be distributed unless approved by the steering committee. Any acts of sexual harassment will be punishable. Delegates are expected to respect and obey the chairperson in all sessions and commissions. Delegates who disobey the instruction of the chairperson of the session will be removed from the assembly venue and dispossessed of their accreditation tag. Any breach of discipline shall be reported to the steering committee, which shall bring such violations to the attention of the Assembly Disciplinary Committee. EFF delegates shall not do the following. Nobody is allowed to bring weapons to the premises of the EFF Assembly. Nobody is permitted to bring or drink alcohol in the premises of the National People's Assembly. Any alcohol will be confiscated and returned to the owner, and not returned to the owner. Nobody is permitted to enter assembly premises under the influence of or smelling of alcohol and or other intoxicating substances. Nobody has permission to resort to violence act of any kind in the premises of the assembly. Nobody shall within the premises of the assembly act in a manner that exposes others to harm or death. Nobody shall within the premises of the assembly act in a manner that provokes tension. Nobody shall act in a manner that undermines the business of the assembly. Nobody shall within the premises of the assembly take off clothes to demonstrate anger or happiness of any kind whatsoever, or bring banners, posters, or placards in support or against any candidate. Nobody shall within the premises of the assembly behave in a rowdy and aggressive manner. Nobody shall within the premises of the assembly be permitted to convene a party to celebrate anything resolved at assembly. Nobody within the premises of assembly shall behave in an abusive and disrespectful manner towards other fighters. No cars shall bear or display any posters or materials in support or against any fighter. No t-shirt or poster displaying support for or against fighter will be allowed in the National People's Assembly. Nobody without accreditation will be allowed in the premises of the National People's Assembly. No delegates shall be allowed to speak to the media about any issue in the Assembly without the authorization of the Media Committee. No cell phones should be on during the proceedings of the National Assembly and sessions and the commissions. No delegates will be allowed to sleep during the proceedings of the Assembly plenary sessions and commissions. Amandla, high discipline, high morale. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Madla. Thank you very much, Deputy President Floyd Shibambu. We would like now to open the discussion rules, the rules for discussion, and then adoption after amendments, if any. Can we open the floor for inputs? Okay, there's a hand here. Number one. Okay, that's it. That's the only input. Oh, there's another one, sorry. Yes, yeah, in front. Number two. Okay, number one and number two, please go to your mics, the nearest mics to both of you. Number one is Limpopo, number two is Northern Cape. Northwest, yeah. So.
Thanks for the opportunity, Commissar Dalimpofu, the National Chairperson. My name is Walter Mlapu from Ward 19 in the sub-region of towards Vetahomu of Sekhukhune region. I am not sure if it's an omission from the Deputy President, Floyd Shibambu, not to present the election procedures. I needed to deal with them. If indeed it's an omission, can they be entertained as well before maybe I can jump the gun? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that the election document is a separate document in your bag, isn't it? Yes. So we're now dealing with the conference rules. The whole issue of the election rules is in the hands of the IEC. So at a particular point today, we are going to hand over to the IEC. Either before that, if there's a particular issue that you want to raise, that issue can be raised. But this is a different item. Are we clear? Sure. Number two.
Thanks, National Chair. My name is Justice Davampi. Regional Secretary of Dr. Ruth. Chair, I'm proposing that in 3.8, instead of saying delegates will be allowed to speak once, we put that in a case where there is a follow-up, they be allowed to speak twice, not once. They must be allowed to speak twice in a case of a follow-up.
That's a proposal. There's no seconder that I can see. Not from the, okay. Is that Northern Cape? No, the other side. Still Northwest, okay. Okay, no, if you're going to second, we'd rather have someone from another province. Yes, there's a hand there. Eastern Cape. Let's move, let's move. Okay, I'm going to move on. You can speak, Chief.
It's not working.
But I can hear you.
Chair, I second the follow-up statement. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Tunzi Kupega from Amachoba region, KZN.
Okay. All right. That proposal has been seconded. Any objection? There's a hand here, Free State.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Vicky Mampimutlung. I object to the proposal.
Okay. Is that, yeah, the person waving the cap at the back? Let's move. No, not you, fighter. I was pointing the person waving the cap there. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Ukhetile Rakomani. I'm from Gauteng in Mirafong, Ward 3, Silimela Nyalunga, Mbilini branch. I am a PCTT delegate. Chair, I here reject the suggestion in respect of time, as we are more than 3,000 delegates. So imagine if 500 delegates would want to speak, it will take more time, and already we are behind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. From that reaction of the House, I take it that the rules will stay as they are. Mandla. Right. Now, we're going to go into a session. I hope everyone has got a copy of the organizational report. We're going to call Nopala Wetu, our Secretary General, Commissar Godris Kadi, to present the organizational report, after which there will be the presentation of the TG's report, and then we will have a discussion. Long live the SG, long live. Long live our SG, long live. Long live Nopala, long live. SG.
Thank you very much. Long live the fighting spirit of Mama Winnie Mandela, long live. Long live our CIC, long live. Forward with the expropriation of land without compensation, forward. Thank you very much, commissars and fighters and our guests. We need to put you at ease up front. We have been long sitting here at work. The organizational report is very long, it's about 180 pages. We are not going to read it word for word, page by page, sentence by sentence. We are going to present a summarized version. Ordinarily, it will have taken us a minimum of 3 to 6 hours to read the report as it happened in the CCT. We agreed with the officials that we shall give you a high-level overview and refer you to the pages. Commander-in-Chief and President of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Julius Malema, officials and members of the Central Command Team, delegates from provincial command teams, regional command teams, and all provincial branches, esteemed guests and members of the media, our people in South Africa and abroad, today gathered here in the Second National People's Assembly, we present this organizational report in terms of Section 13C4 of the Constitution of the organization. We thank you very much for patience up to this hour to receive this report. On the 13th to the 16th December 2014, in Mangaung, Bloemfontein, Free State, 2,186 branch delegates met in the First National People's Assembly to map out a program of action to implement the seizure of state power with the aim to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime, and to democratically elect the leadership of this revolutionary movement that will be seized with that task. Central to the first NPA was the issue of land dispossession from African people by white colonialists, and accordingly, the conference took a resolution to address this grave historical miscarriage of justice. The conference resolved that the organization should push for expropriation of land without compensation for equal distribution. This resolution is embodied in the EFF 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars. Today, 5 years later, marks the Second National People's Assembly. We have gathered here under the theme Consolidating the Ground Towards Socialist Power, which reaffirms the aims and objectives of our liberation movement. While the political trajectory is confronted with the challenges of capital and white supremacy, which are anchored in the concept of divide and rule, the question central to the economic liberation and emancipation of our people remains central to the delegates gathered here today. We meet today to take stock of our accomplishments and challenges our movement has faced in executing this revolutionary task entrusted to us at the first NPA. The leadership elected in the first NPA steered the ship with humility and selflessness, advancing the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars of our revolution. Gathered here today, we have come to account to you, delegates, in terms of Section 13(6)(c)(4) of the Constitution, which provides that we should present to the National People's Assembly a comprehensive statement of the state of the organization and administrative situation to the National People's Assembly. This second NPA has 2 tasks: developing a revolutionary roadmap based on the experiences of the last 5 years, and considering and electing competent leadership to carry the revolution forward for another 5 years. In this regard, we present the organizational report that reflects on the work done since the first NPA. As will be apparent from reading and the discussions around this report, the past 5 years have been characterized by building the organization from bottom up. In this exercise, special care had to be given to both quantitative and qualitative growth in laying a solid foundation for the incoming and future leadership to build on. Later in the report, we shall make mention of state of membership and state of the organization in provinces, regions, and branches, as we continue to build the organization from bottom up. The path from the first NPA is paved with both the good and the bad. The organization, in its pursuit of political power, has had to compete with many political parties, most of which are established and enjoy the support of the South African majority. This the organization had to do with limited resources and no political reference. None of the leaders elected in the first NPA had experience in ministerial positions or served in committees or provincial legislatures. Chairperson, the report before us is rather lengthy, and with your indulgence, for the sake of convenience, we will present this executive summary, pointing to the essence of what is contained in the report. More comprehensive information in relation to the headings to be alluded to are contained in the report, and delegates will be afforded an opportunity to engage on it. On the structures and organs of the organization, the Central Command Team, Section 13 of the EFF Constitution provides that the CCT shall consist of 6 officials and 35 additional members. It further provides that the CCT shall be the highest decision-making body in between national people's assemblies and shall have the authority to lead the organization, subject to the Constitution, resolutions, and decisions of the National People's Assembly. Section 13.6 of the Constitution further provides that the CCT shall meet at least once every 3 months. Ordinarily, in the period of 5 years, the CCT had 17 ordinary meetings and 9 special CCT meetings. Amongst the functions of the CCT is the implementation of the policies, resolution, directives, decisions, and programs decided on the NPA. The first NPA elected officials and other CCT members as detailed in page 6 and 7 of the report. We can go to page 6 and 7. We shall see the names of the elected officials and the additional members of the CCT. However, due to the incompetence of the contracted electoral committee of the first NPA, only 34 names of the additional members were forwarded to the organization as elected. Accordingly, the first CCT was constituted by 40 directly elected members instead of 41. As at this second NPA, the following commissars were co-opted. Commissar Ntokozo Nhlonyana in 2015, Commissar Mgcini Chwak in 2016, Primrose Sonti in 2017, Commissar Nontando Noluchung in 2017, and Commissar Pebane Moteka in 2017. In terms of Section 13.5 of the Constitution, the CCT may, if necessary, co-opt not more than 3 members. The CCT, however, places on record that 5 members were co-opted. The organization lost 1 CCT member on account of death, that being Commissar Tumsani Ngongwane, who passed away on the 25th of February 2016. The following CCT members resigned on their own accord: Mrs. Magdalene Munsami, Fighter Dr. Tlaiseka Shiwane, Mr. Mlungis Rapodile, Mrs. Vyoga Ziketebatle, Mr. Sipombata, Mr. Roger Kalisa, Mr. Tominkos Khaula, Fighter Nkakhisang Mohoti, and Fighter Tebucho Mokwele. The organization accepted all the resignations. We have detailed the account for the loss of the 10 CCT members in page 9 of the report. If you can go to page 9, we are able to account for each of the 9 names that of the commissars, the former commissars who resigned. At the heart of operations and function of the CCT is organizational discipline and performance of CCT members. Whilst it appears that all CCT members understood their functions, responsibilities, and mandate, the CCT has noted with concern a tendency towards laziness and careerism in a number of instances. The War Council. Section 14 of the Constitution provides that at its first sitting after being elected, the CCT shall elect 9 members of the CCT who, together with the officials, shall constitute the War Council of the EFF. Section 14 also provides that a 15-member War Council shall be responsible for the day-to-day activities of the EFF, be tasked with ensuring the proper and timeless implementation of CCT decisions, and submit a report of its work to the CCT in respect of its activities between CCT meetings. The first War Council elected is detailed on page 10 of the report. However, in the course of executing the revolutionary task entrusted to the War Council, the CCT elected a new War Council that lived up to this NPA, and we have tabulated it in page 11 of the original report that you have. 2 former CCT members were War Council members and are no longer War Council members are Mr. Roger Kalisa and Fighter Tebucho Mokwele. The CCT resolved that they should not be replaced on account of second NPA being so close relative to their resignations, and to date the composition of the War Council remains as cited in page 11. The officials. We have alluded to the officials that were elected in the first NPA as page 6 to 11. The officials consistently meet to process serious organizational matters brought to their attention. This relates to both internal and external affairs pertaining to the organization. The meetings of the officials usually take place on the sidelines of all constitutional meetings, and in particular, CCT and War Council. Other than meetings on the sidelines on constitutional gatherings, the officials held meetings with stakeholders on matters of mutual interest. Among stakeholders met in the period under review are MTN, Vodacom, PSL, the Patrice Motsepe Foundation, and the Dutch Reformed Church, to mention a few. Some of the meetings held with the stakeholders include meetings with political parties in the country and those of other countries, foreign and local business delegation, eminent leaders of our society in sport, religion, foundation, professionals, artists, etc. These meetings were with the view of discussing matters of mutual interest, such as forming working relations, multi-party democracy funding, and exchanging notes on broader socio-economic and political subjects of national importance and national interest. The officials facilitate and appear on various platforms, including press conferences and media interviews, in order to articulate the position of the organization on various matters. The officials also attend and appear collectively on organizational activities and programs, both provincially and nationally. The officials have been in and out of court since assuming office, this owing to the state attempting to frustrate and ultimately decimate the organization for its uncompromising stance on land and economic freedom. Among some of these matters is the President's remarks on expropriation of land without compensation for equal distribution, which remarks he made on the first NPA and on several public platforms, including rallies of the organization, parliament debates, and media interactions. The organization has also been in and out of court challenging the political status quo, which seeks to usurp state independence. This we did under the term of the former president, and even to date under the current president, both who gave away the independence of the executive to private elements. In the period under review, officials have been assigned to different provinces to work with War Council and CCT deployees to provinces. The deployment to provinces from 2019 general elections is that the president was deployed in Gauteng, Northwestern Limpopo, Deputy President Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga, the SG Western Cape and Free State, Deputy Secretary General Northern Cape, National Chairperson Eastern Cape, and Treasurer General in the Free State. The headquarters. The headquarters of the organization are located at 78 Decorte Street, Mineralia Building, third floor, Bramfontein. It remains the hub of the organization as it frequently hosts media conferences, organizational meetings at national level, meetings with stakeholders, and interfacing with the general public. The organization has purchased its own building, which is situated in Johannesburg Central Business District. The building is situated in a strategic location with high volume of people passing by. We hope the more convenient location will increase the organization visibility and make it easy for those wishing to do so with convenience. The building is under renovation and it is expected to be ready for occupation sometimes in 2020. The headquarters comprises of the following key departments: the presidency, the SGO, and the TGO. We now elaborate on each of the key departments referred to above in sequence. The Office of the President comprised of the President himself, the DP, the National Chair, Communication, Political Education, Security, Legal Services, and Elections. The President and Commander-in-Chief plays an integral role in articulating and defending the organization's view on a broad range of matters. In terms of Section 13C of the 6 of the Constitution, the President and Commander-in-Chief is the political head of the organization as well as the leader of the House at NPA meetings like today. Section 13(6) further provides that he makes pronouncements for and on behalf of the EFF, outlining and explaining the policy and attitude of the EFF on any question, including presenting to this NPA a comprehensive statement of the state of the country, continent, and political situation internationally. Under the overall supervision of the CCT, the President orients and directs the activities of the EFF. At the commencement of every CCT meeting, the President has not failed to provide a political overview, allow engagement with it, and replies to inputs, including those that are critical to his assertion. This evidently demonstrates the democratic character, transparency, and openness to engagement, which ordinarily are uncomfortable. This overview politically diagnoses the condition of South Africa, the South African content, and the rest of the world. It places particular emphasis on power relations, areas which the organization needs to develop in, and provides political focus on both internal and external affairs. The President provides the keynote address in national gatherings as the political head. The address by the President is often geared in dissecting issues relevant to the program, such as service delivery, corruption, and crime. Similarly, the President leads the address as well as the questions and answers in media conferences called by the organization. Such media conferences are often in response to a crisis faced by the country. Among these have been corruption reported in state institutions, violence against women, and the future of South Africa and balance of forces. The President is the convener of the Central Election Task Force for purposes of the national and provincial elections, as well as the local government elections held in the period under review. The President is the face of the elections campaign. More details on this will be alluded to in the next chapter on elections. During the national and/or provincial and local government election, the President embarks on grassroots campaigns as the essential ground force of the EFF. These programs are characterized by aggressive door-to-door community meetings, rallies, and extensive community and national media engagements. Ordinarily, such a demanding program would be unleashed by a leader of a ruling party who has access to resources, trappings of office, and a disposal of the Air Force and the Army. However, our CIC is always up to the task of groundwork anywhere in the country. The President is the EFF party leader in the National Assembly and leads most of the debates on behalf of the organization in Parliament where matters of national importance are being debated, leads motions of the organization, leads debates on reply to the SONA and questions to the State President. He was a member of the Constitutional Review Committee that conducted public hearings and presented a report to Parliament which mandated that Section 25 of the Constitution must be amended to permit for expropriation of land without compensation. He is currently a member of the ARO Committee tasked with amendment of the Constitution. He also serves in the Judicial Service Commission where for the first time in the history of this country, candidates for higher court have been rigorously grilled and scrutinized. The President is also a member of the Pan-African Parliament, and we consider this deployment to be strategic in navigating the organization's influence in the African continent. Indeed, this is more given that the organization has been and remains clear on its position that the borders which exist in Africa were imposed on us by our colonizers. And as such, there is a need to open all borders for unrestricted movement of all goods, trade, and persons within the African continent. The President has led several international calls for the total liberation of Eswatini, Palestine, and Western Sahara. He has also made the organization's poster public in relation to xenophobia and Afrophobia in a very clear and cogent voice. The President has also made pronouncement on the need to remove the economic embargo against Cuba and Zimbabwe. Furthermore, the President has led a delegation on 3 international assignments, which are an EFF tour of the United Kingdom in 2015, the funeral of El Commandant Fidel Castro in Cuba in December 2016, and the condolence visit to the family of the late President of Zimbabwe, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, in September 2019. In the United Kingdom, the EFF delegation led by the CIC met several progressive formations of the African diaspora in an effort to introduce the EFF. The delegation also met several investor forums or associations to dispel the negative myth that EFF seeks to chase investors away from the country. This is significant as the UK is the largest trading partner of South Africa. The delegation introduced the EFF as an important socialist force in pursuit of the total economic emancipation of black oppressed, Africans in particular. The trip was important in that investors were still critical and needed in South Africa, and of course on terms that are consistent with the objectives of our revolution. In essence, these meetings were not different in both content and posture to that one which was held with international investors in Setsuetla, Alexander on the 3rd March 2014, except in this case the venue was London. A key example of the contents of these meetings with business and investors is demonstrated by what the CIC publicly said during his well-publicized debate with Clem Sunter in February 2016 at the Cape Chamber of Commerce and Industry event. In the United Kingdom, the CIC then addressed two other prestigious platforms as a keynote speaker. Firstly, he spoke at the Oxford Union at the University of Oxford, university students, stakeholders, and Oxford community in general filled the hall to the brink to hear the CIC. I did not wish to say cheers, but I have to. Cheers. Furthermore, the CIC spoke at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, known as Chatham House, which was oversubscribed a week before his talk was to take place. A rare phenomenon only associated with prominent heads of state. Here, stakeholders from university, research institutions, diplomats, businessmen and women, civil society, in their numbers attended. The EFF UK tour put the organization on the international platform, and it is recommended that similar tours must be conducted to the USA, China, Russia, and other global superpowers by the incoming CCT, as will be led by the CIC, who will be elected in this NPA. In Zimbabwe, the CIC led a delegation to convey our special condolences to Mama Grace Mugabe and her family on the passing of President R.G. Mugabe at Blue House, the official homestead of the president. The CIC then addressed the media outside Blue House and called on President Mnangagwa to allow the Mugabe family to unconditionally implement the burial wishes of President R.G. Mugabe. This was following President Mnangagwa's insistence that President Mugabe be buried in Harare at Heroes' Egg, when in fact President Mugabe instructed that he be buried in his home village. It is now common knowledge that President Mnangagwa finally complied with the dying wishes of President Mugabe, and our visit and call contributed to this decision. Finally, the President appeared several times over the years in different courts in Bloemfontein, Free State, and Newcastle in KwaZulu-Natal, to be exact, in prosecution for his remarks in defense of the founding non-negotiable 7 cardinal pillars and resolutions of the NPA. We view these persecutions of the President as a direct attack against the resolution of the entire collective of the economic freedom fighters, on whose behalf his remarks were the amplification of the organizational ideology. These matters are pending, and the entire leadership as well as membership continue to support the President. In addition, the state has, following the pressure of AfriForum and Stratcom, instituted frivolous charges, sometimes threatens to be investigating charges on issues long canvassed with the state. It is clear that there is a coordinated effort to have the CIC in consistently appearing in courts or worse behind bars, and thus uprooted from the groundwork of building a formidable alternative political movement for the total economic emancipation of our people. The NPA should take important lessons on the history of the PAC and what happened to it following the imprisonment of its leader, Robert Sobukwe. Should the state one day achieve its arrest of the CIC and place him behind bars, Even for a few years, our organization would drop backward and become what the PAC became once the apartheid state put Robert Sobukwe behind bars. When this happened, the PAC, like the EFF, was just at its conception and infant stage of development. With all the above threats, we remain unshaken and confident that our CNC will triumph over all charges, mainly meant to personally persecute him and discourage his passion for our revolution. We recommend to the incoming CCT to ensure that the president and leadership of the organization ensures that such international trips continue and include big economics and superpowers such as the United States of America, Europe, Africa, and BRICS countries. The role of the elderly in society cannot be understated. The elderly people raise communities, give wisdom and advice, and provide comfort in times of distress and despair. It is true that the elderly often hold strong and fixed views about certain key aspects of life, the religion, values, and most importantly, political position. We are proud to have a substantial number of elderly people who publicly and openly associate themselves with us, especially given that we are a young political formation facing ageism as one of the challenges. In this regard, the president annually holds Christmas parties for the elderly in Seshego, Ward 13 and 10, Blood River, which are both in Polokwane municipality. This program of elders is normally done through door-to-door to register participants for celebration, ceremony, and this will also incorporate the assessment for the need of a bed for the elderly. Furthermore, in 2018, the president donated a tractor to Zone 1 community in Seshego. The tractor was donated in order to assist the community in small-scale farming so that they can be self-sufficient. This is in keeping with the call for land to be returned to its rightful owners. Period under review, the president has held numerous visits at the behest of the organization in response to the outcry of the jailing of kings as it happened with Kings Hintsa and Cetshwayo by the colonial settler governments. January 2016, the president led the officials delegation to a solidarity visit to the incarcerated Abatembu King, His Majesty King Buyele Kaya Talinjebo, whilst at Life St. Dominic Hospital. In solidarity with arrested and incarcerated due to fees must fall protest, the president led a delegation of officials to visit the incarcerated victim of state repression, Bonkosi Kanyile, an activist for free education now campaign, whom we have invited as a special guest. The president also led the officials delegation to visit the Zulu King, His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini in July 27 prior to the 4th anniversary in KwaZulu-Natal. The organization handed over 5 bulls to the king. The visit was in recognition of the heritage of our traditional leadership for a meet and greet and exchange gifts with His Majesty King Zwelithini. The president also attended the funeral of Amaxhosa King, His Majesty King Pendulo Sikau, on the 29th of November 2019. Furthermore, pursuant to the recognition of the role of religious leaders in our society, in January 2018, the president led the officials to visit His Grace Bishop Lekhanyane at Zion Christian Church, the Star. In fulfillment of the wish of the late struggle stalwart Comrade Ahmed Katrada to take the commander-in-chief on a tour of Robben Island, the president led a delegation of officials in August 2017 on a tour of Robben Island conducted by the then president Kgalema Montlato, together with the chairperson and CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, hosted by the Ahmed Katrada Foundation. We recommend to the plenary and incoming CCT to ensure that at all material times, the CIC and other national leaders of the organization enjoy the warmth and solidarity of membership in all instances of their court appearances. It is the organization that is in trial and the revolution that is being persecuted. The Deputy President. Section 13(6)(b)(1) of the Constitution provides that the Deputy President, together with the President, constitutes the presidents of the EFF. And amongst the tasks and roles, he assists the President whenever such assistance is required. And in the absence of the President, represents the EFF, and in the presence of the President, deputizes. He further represents the EFF at important domestic and international forums. Further details in this regard are contained in the chapter titled International Relations and Solidarity. In this regard, the Deputy President, Commissar Floyd Shivambu, heads all governance affairs and international relations affairs of the organization. He is the Chief Whip in the National Assembly and interacts with fraternal organizations outside the country. He has on several occasions been instrumental in organizing meetings with political parties of other countries, e.g. Pudemo of Eswatini, UDC of Botswana, and EFF formations in other African countries, as evident on their presence here today. As the head of the Government Task Unit, the Deputy President is responsible for interaction with all public representatives of the organization across all spheres of governance. He has convened several meetings of the Government Task Unit, which is comprised of EFF whips in Parliament and party leaders in provincial legislatures. As a parliamentary chief whip, the Deputy President manages the EFF caucus in Parliament and represents the organization in parliamentary governance structures. As a member of Parliament, the DP represented the EFF in several committees and processes, including the Portfolio Committee on Trade and Industry, Justice, Communication, and State Committee on Finance. He was part of parliamentary delegations to Ghana, UK, and Cuba. As head of GTU, the DP frequently meets with provinces and regions to engage, resolve, and intervene on matters of governance. Amongst the successes of this unit was the convening of the Public Representative Summit in Beachwood Hotel in 2018 and several meetings with party whips in municipalities and metros. A detailed report on governance is presented later in this report. Additional to governance and international relations, the Deputy President was instrumental in the following key activities and programs of the EFF, mostly due to his deployments to provinces. We have tabled them as A to G. Since 2015, the Deputy President adopted 4 high schools in Malamlele, Limpopo Province, George Sonto High School, Mpambo High School, Shigamani Secondary School, and Mabambe High School. He assists the schools with learning and teaching support materials and assists the successful students integrate into post-secondary education. During festive season, the Deputy President hosts a fighters football tournament where 16 football clubs compete for prizes. The National Chairperson. Section 13(6) CE provides that the National Chairperson shall preside over and chair various national organizational meetings and programs, amongst them the CCT, the War Council, and other programs of the organization. In this regard, the National Chairperson, Commissar Dalimpofu, Senior Counsel, has chaired almost all CCT meetings, War Council meetings, and plenums of the organization. He has presided as Program Director in all major national rallies of the organization, including but not limited to Manifesto Launch, Chelatupa Rally, birthday anniversaries of the organization, and all other political rallies of the organization. The National Chairperson is the first chairperson of the National Disciplinary Committee established by the first CCT in 2015. He was at the helm of affairs in the first NDC hearing of the 4 rebels, Ramakasa, Mkritama, Litchfield, and Lakitwala. He was subsequently recused from NDC due to his other hectic schedule as an advocate. The National Chairperson was an official deployed to Eastern Cape for the purpose of elections, and due to his hectic work schedule, Deputy President was subsequently deployed to convene the PETF. The National Chairperson has been presiding over professional summits convened by the organization during the election season, both in 2016 and 2019. He was also tasked to chair the insourcing task team at Witwatersrand University, an activity which has become a benchmark for other universities in the country. 2018, the National Chairperson led a march from City Hall to West Bank Correction Services in East London, calling for the release of King Buyelekaya Talinjebo from prison. On the 26th of April 2019, he also led a march from Duncan Village to City Hall in East London, wherein a memorandum was handed over to the Buffalo City Municipality and Hawks to demand progress on cases of corruption reported, particularly on President Mandela funeral scandal. The national chairperson addressed the sectoral meetings with petrol attendants and other workers towards the 2019 elections. The national person was instrumental in peace talks between law enforcement, Witwatersrand University management, and students during the Fees Must Fall protest. Communications. Following the first NPA, the CCT resolved that Commissar Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi shall be tasked with the communication responsibility and with such role including being the spokesperson of the organization. The Communications Department staff complement currently consists of Fighters Xolile, Fighter Nompumelelo, Fighter Paxley, Fighter Paul, graphic designer Fighter Matara. The unit is fully equipped with high-resolution equipment, and this makes the work of the unit to be efficient and effective. The Communications Department has been able to build ample internal capacity in respect of photography, videography, and interface with social media. The department has always live-streamed organizational activities through social media platforms and attracted substantial number of viewers. It also has a well-functioning website and until recently was the only political party with a mobile app. We boost off an active and regularly engaged social media footprint inclusive of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It should be noted that the organization has seen a rapid and continuous increase in its social media footprint. To date, of print, the social media pages of the EFF have grown in the past 5 years as follows: Twitter, 890,000, Facebook, 553,000, Instagram, 98,000, YouTube, 43,000. In total, 1,573,000 followers. A crucial consideration is the gender profile of the EFF social media followers, which is overrepresented by men. Our Facebook account, men constitute 75%, whilst women are at 25%. The same trend is reflected on Instagram, with men at 73% and women at 27%. The men-dominated EFF following is not sustainable for many reasons, chief amongst which is the simple fact that women constitute the majority in our country and the majority of voters in every elections. The Communication Department has issued various statements on a range of political affairs. It also covered all national and provincial rallies, marches, and press conferences. The leadership of the EFF, national and across provinces, engaged in a number of radio interviews and television interviews organized by this department. The department is swift in issuing statements on current affairs. It also issues messages of support to local artists, national sport teams, Africans progressing in their areas of gift and expertise. From time to time, the Communication Department also issues messages of congratulations for achievements, solidarity, and condolences for losses. On average, the department issues 15 statements per month, bringing to a total of 900 media press statements issued in the period under review. The EFF has generally been operating under hostile media coverage since its inception. As a result, over the past year alone, the organization has seen major litigations by media organizations and high-profile journalists, often with the aim to silence the EFF's criticism of the ruling systems of the day. It is critical to indicate that the strained media relations have not gone without an open and sometimes backdoor meetings with media houses. The EFF has met SANEF in 2017 for introductory purposes. We have also convened editors of all media houses for a breakfast with the CIC in 2018. The media is further given a front seat access to all our public events, as you will also be witness to the NPA of today. However, all these have not helped to change the largely hostile attitude and treatment we receive from South Africa's overall coverage of the EFF. As you will have picked up that the ENCA has withdrawn from the live coverage and coverage of this NPA. Further investment into the communications unit is therefore even more crucial to strengthen our alternative communication platforms to speak directly to our people. A weekly newsletter, The Radical Voice, was launched and briefly published, but due to lack of a dedicated full-time professional editorial team, it collapsed. This initiative must still be revived alongside a quarterly bulletin to help the alternative communications effort that is achieved via the social media footprint, political education. Following the first NPA, the CCT appointed then Commissar Mlungisi Rapotile, who was a War Council member and a full-time head of political education until his resignation February 2017 from the organization. This unit has assisted in convening and proceedings of plenums, facilitating and presenting of organizational documents to plenum, as well as inducting of provinces, regions, and councillors. Subsequent to his resignation, the CCT appointed Commissar Sam Matiase, assisted by Commissar Dr. Lawrence Masitela, Matapelo Suisa, Tseko Mafanye, and Dr. Mbuisen Luzi. A detailed report on the activities of this unit is found in page 28 to 31 of the report. All 9 provinces which recently held their RPAs have inducted their RCTs, a total of 51 inductions. 2 regions, Amatole, Eastern Cape, and Umzinyathi in KZN, have not convened their second RPAs and no induction took place. The same applies to the 9 provincial people's assemblies which have all been inducted, including the National and Provincial Disciplinary Committees, provincial secretaries, and prosecutors on the 3rd of December 2018 at the HQ. Finally, the incoming CCT should develop beyond the minimal work of the last 5 years, set aside a dedicated human and financial resource, a program of action which will embody the party's ideological principles and guidelines for the next 5 years and beyond. It shall be tasked with inculcating a culture of political education within the context of the organization, making political education fashionable and taking it to the next level. Security. In the first CCT, Security Department was first assigned to Commissar Fana Mokwena, who asked to be relieved of the responsibility. The CCT then resolved to appoint Commissar Marshal Lamini in January 2017. The Defenders of Revolution forms an integral strategic arm of the Security Department. DOR has been and continues to be visible in various gatherings of the organization throughout the country, ranging from meetings to huge events such as rallies and marches. The unit is usually proactive and continues to enhance its security operations and intelligence. Prior to organizational gatherings, especially those of a significant magnitude like this NPA, it convenes and attends strategy and security planning meetings, such as Section 205 meetings with police, paramedics, and other security stakeholders. It should be noted that these selfless fighters are members of the organization, some of whom have experience in military training and security services, but who have devoted their time and attention to defending and protecting the revolution at all costs. At EFF events, DOR members work very closely with marshals who often have to maneuver leadership amid huge crowds. The unit continues to protect the members' assets and gatherings of the organization with humility and commitment. This unit has discharged its responsibility with excellence, dedication, and selflessness. This unit has discharged its task as a matter of labor of love as opposed to remuneration. I would like to thank the fighters who are volunteers to the organizing to this unit for their commitment and dedication. We recommend that a full-time head of security be appointed at the headquarters, whose duties, amongst others, shall be to assess and evaluate security threats to assets, personnel of the organization at regional, provincial, and national level. Legal services. Following the first NPA, the headquarters established a legal office headed by the National Chairperson, Commissar Dalimpof, assisted by the paralegal officer, Zuko Matikan. The legal office is located in the office of the presidency. Its role includes, amongst other things, handling and channeling legal issues reported to the organization, facilitating representation of the organization in courts and tribunals and other forums, where there is a legal dispute initiated by or against the organization, and providing legal advice as and when requested to the organization. Amongst the legal desk assists all public members at no charge and deals with walk-ins by EFF members and OS supporters, as well as other people who may not necessarily be EFF members. The legal desk assists without discrimination in terms of party affiliation, gender, race, or beliefs. Amongst the common walk-ins attended to are claims of corruption by government officials in various departments, complaints of unlawful evictions, complaints of abuse of power by authorities, unjust students' expulsions, suspensions, unfair dismissal, and a range of other unfair labor practices and hate speech reports. Intervention often involves referring the complaint to the relevant competent authorities such as the Human Rights Commission, Public Protector, SABS, and various law clinics. From time to time, matters reported are referred to provincial leaders for their intervention and assistance. The legal department has experienced limitations in a number of instances owing to incompetence of legal professionals engaged to render services to the organization. During the period under review, the organization has had designated staff members attending to legal affairs, all of these to no ultimate satisfaction. Mr. Zuko Madikan and the paralegal officer had to be released on account of incompetency and complaints from the public. Fighter Linda Mapengwane was contracted to head the legal services, including internal disciplinary processes of the organization. He was later released from duty in order for the organization to procure the services of a qualified admitted attorney on retainer. Services of Thabo Kwinana came as were then secured, but had to be terminated on account of incompetency, mediocre work, and laziness. These services of the services of this law firm was terminated. Subsequent to the termination of the legal services with Caymanese attorneys, services of Kwena Manamela of Manamela and Tunis were secured. Again, there were various serious concerns of inefficiency and incompetency raised, resulting in the termination of the contract. The third firm of attorneys to be contracted on retainership was Ian Levitt Attorneys, secured as external retained firm of attorneys to deal with internal legal affairs in court cases brought by and against the organization. Their performance has been satisfactory. The firm gives regular updates on progress on matters in their database. They represent our fighters when called upon to do so, and they have reduced the load of matters they found since being appointed. Ian Levitt Attorneys has managed to eliminate 11 matters which were brought against the EFF due to unlawful protest action by people purportedly acting on the EFF instructions. These matters were the bulk of the civil applications issued against the EFF in the last 11 months, which now have been decreased to 0. In total, Ian Levitt Attorneys had 106 civil claims, which they have managed to reduce to 71 civil matters. Current matters pending include the applications brought by Minister Jamnandas and the President against the Public Protector, which we have successfully intervened in. The firm has also had 39 criminal matters expunged, either by having the charges withdrawn or the accused being acquitted. Furthermore, the services of Tatu Tobachale Attorneys were secured in order to deal with public legal affairs, walk-ins, and also internal affairs in respect of organizational discipline. The firm is now attending to the expeditious finalization of all outstanding matters. Since their appointment, they have acted as prosecutor of the organization in making sure that all disciplinary matters are expeditiously brought to finality. They are also responsible for the prosecution of over 200 public representatives who do not have parties and minimally or not present on organizational work. We shall allude later in this report on matters of organizational discipline. Amongst the major wins of the organization in court is the matter against the former president, wherein the organization insisted that he pay back the money in line with the remedial action of the public protector. The battle was fought in the streets, in parliaments, and in courts. It resulted in the Constitutional Court ruling in our favor, wherein other parties joined as applicants. Notwithstanding this victory, Parliament, through the ruling party, was hell-bent of not bringing the then president to book, and this resulted in the EFF members of parliament being severely assaulted, and the organization is pursuing this matter in court. Detailed activities of the unit are found on page 34 to 37 of the report. Office of the Secretary General, Section 13.6C and D provides the establishment of the SGO, which is comprised of the SG and the DSG. SG is tasked with conveying and communicating and articulating key decisions of the organization and to all structures, including record keeping and administration. Section 13.6C1 provides that the SG shall be full-time official based at HQ. The CCT resolved that the SG can be full-time at headquarters and continue to discharge parliamentary duties as a full-time member of parliament. For the period under review, we have not experienced any hurdles in this arrangement. The Office of the Secretary General is comprised of organizing, membership management, human resource management, public representative list replenishment, gazetting, and organizational discipline. Organizing, this function is to ensure implementation of national program of action as adopted annually in the plenums and those recommended and resolved on from time to time by the CCT and War Council and mobilization for by-elections. After the first NPA, organizing was headed by Commissar Tseko Mofanya, who was later replaced as national organizer. Organizing responsibility is now headed by Komsam Gwenitwako, who has been the national organizer since 2016 as appointed by the CCT. Working close with fighters Patrick Sindane, Matume Moshola, Gabriel Gupega, Rasta Zola, Telport, Tsepo Dire, Folam Tinani, and Embodied Bakwan. Department has recruited close to 60 volunteers who move from province to province, program to program to ensure maximum capacity in mobilization in dormant programs and munches. The organization has been able to create a database in excess of 2 million cell phone numbers from door to doors at all levels of the organization and broadcasted more than 10 million SMSs for organizational events such as Telatupa and calling on our people to vote EFF. Organizing unit is instrumental in organizing successful rallies and all major activities of the organization. The unit is efficient, and it is notable that the unit has been able to organize events and programs without collapsing the entire leadership to descend in mobilizing. There is a need to strengthen this unit with resources which includes but not limited to human resources, equipment and vehicles, and further improve it so that it can become a permanent organizing resource. This unit has discharged its responsibility with excellence, dedication and selflessness as a matter of labor of life opposed to remuneration. I'd like to thank the fighters who are volunteers to the organizing unit for their commitment and dedication. A detailed list of programs ordinarily convened by the organization in the period under review will be alluded to later in the report. Membership management. Membership is the lifeblood of the organization. Section 4 of the Constitution outlines the importance and relevance of membership. It highlights who is eligible to be a member, what values and prescripts members are bound by, what declaration is expected of a person before membership is bestowed upon them, and what limitations membership to the organization places on a person. Membership is assigned to a membership officer in the SGO. Initially, it was handled by Fighter Godfrey Matloko, who is also our guest here today, who later found employment elsewhere in 2016. Thereafter, Ms. Pindi Lemanganyi was assigned to this task, who was later removed. She was replaced by Fighter Kylie Lemakongo, who still attends to membership to date. All provinces have prescribed spreadsheet in which they are expected to fill in data of paid-up members and to send it to membership officer at the HQ. Such a data sheet would include the personal details of the member, e.g. their names, surnames, and identity number. The data will then be sent to membership card printing service provider, who in turn prints and delivers the card at HQ to be collected by provinces. Concern of members not receiving their membership card is sometimes due to provinces not complying with prescribed data form, not sending the data spreadsheet from regions at all, late collection of membership cards from headquarters, and or late or non-distribution of cards to members. This will also include submission of duplicate data, which results in high cost to the organization. Similarly, being made to print cards for a certain want, which for all material respects contains data which belongs to a totally different ward. For these reasons, the organization has engaged in the exercise of identifying a suitable service provider that can assist the organization to, through technological advancement, expedite the process of membership capturing, monitoring, reporting, card printing. Attempts in this regard prove futile as service provider had internal challenges which have now since been resolved. The new membership system will be able to give real-time membership per province, per ward, per region, per sub-region, and also indicate demographic information in relation to membership, gender, age, and socioeconomic status. This will make it efficient to perfect card printing and report drawing on state of membership at all levels of the organization. In the absence of the system, the organization has had to rely on manual system which cannot with complete accuracy and precision confirm the membership status. However, for the period under review, only one service provider was used for membership card printing, and records indicate that in excess of 1 million membership cards were printed and issued, though characterized by duplicates in some instances. According to the first NPA organizational report, the total audited membership for the purpose of the Branch People's Assembly was 318,000, whilst the number of paid up membership and reflected in the bank membership payment was 527,000. Details analysis of membership are found from page 41 to page 42 of this report. The membership management has witnessed joining and rejoining of the organization in 1.7 million times, and this is reflected in the paid up membership fee of 17 million rand specially received over the 5 years. A special audit of membership has demonstrated that paid up membership of the organization stands at an average of 732 members year in, year out. Due to the manual membership system, we are unable to account with precision for captured membership for the period 2015 and 2016. Towards RPAs and PPAs in 2018, the organization adopted guidelines for convening RPAs and PPAs kept at a minimum of 90% launch wards, and this resulted in tremendous growth and wider reach than anticipated. As a result, in 2018, membership was accurately audited to be at 731,498 paid up members. On membership cards, we have a dependable card printing system, and we can assure NPA that we will have a perfect system in 2020. It is recommended to plenary and the incoming CCT that members should not wait for over 30 days to receive printed membership cards. We recommend to plenary and incoming CCT to keep membership fee at 10 Rand per year for the next 5 years. Human resources. Section 13.6.D3 provides that the Deputy Secretary General shall, amongst other responsibilities, be in charge of HRM of the organization. This entails the recruitment of staff, condition of service, and labor relations matters. The CCT exercised its discretion in terms of Section 13.6.D1 and resolved that the DSG shall not be a full-time official in the headquarters. Hence, Commissar Hlengiwe Mkalipi was full-time as a whip in the National Assembly. Notwithstanding her whippery function in the National Assembly, she was able to discharge all her constitutional obligations at the headquarters and provinces of deployment. It should be remembered that after the birth of the organization, it had no employees. Instead, it was assisted by volunteers with various skills, expertise, and time. Some of these volunteers were absorbed and later became employees of the organization on a temporal or permanent basis. The organization has partnered with Sector Education and Training Authority and has, through a joint program with SETA, sourced 50 interns who earn a monthly stipend. Furthermore, the SETA program has provided bursaries to 7 staff members in terms of its discretionary funding. Efforts are ongoing to introduce further employee benefits such as, but not limited to, medical aid, pension, car allowance, housing allowance, and other statutory benefits. To date, compensation of EFF employees is at total cost to employer. Notwithstanding various media reports about the hostile relationship between the organization and its employees, there have been numerous attempts to amicably resolve labor disputes through conciliation and settlement agreements and harmonize the employer-employee relationship such that the EFF becomes an employer of choice. The past 5 years, Human Resources has attained 100% compliance in areas of employment equity reporting, workplace skills planning reporting, employee tax and SARS, workmen compensation, and basic conditions of employment act. Today, the organization has 230 employees, and a detailed breakdown of their respective pay points is contained in the annexures of the report. Employment to municipalities has been characterized by inadequacies from failure to consult broadly and in some instances led to protracted labor dispute. Some municipality resources given in kind held in the budget of municipalities, and this calls for the incoming CCT to pay special attention to the receipt and use of such resources. 5 councillors of eThekwini had to be expelled for misappropriation of such resources, and some in other municipalities are being investigated. We take this opportunity to thank the staff of the organization and its volunteers who have spent sleepless nights working odd hours, breathing life to this organization and its program, particularly the elections and this NPA. Public representative list replenishment and gazetting. List gazetting and replenishment of public representative falls in the exclusive jurisdiction and competence of the SGO, assisted by officials and war council. A breakdown of number of public representatives is contained in Annexure A. The task of gazetting and replenishment of lists in the council, legislatures, and parliament is premised on guidelines of CCT resolution. Section 4.2 of the Constitution provides for the oath in which every member binds himself or herself to, upon assuming membership, abide by the aims, objectives, and radical policies of the freedom fighters. It further provides that the member joins the organization without any motive of personal gain, material benefit, and understand that he or she is not entitled to any position or deployment. The member further vows that he or she will participate in the life of the EFF to strive towards total emancipation of South Africa, Africa, and the oppressed people of the world, and will do so as a loyal and active and disciplined economic freedom fighter. The above declaration clearly indicates that deployment to National Assembly, National Council of Provinces, Provincial Legislature, and Council is not an entitlement of any member. However, when called upon to resign in order to enable the organization to replenish its list, certain members have a proclivity of refusing to resign, citing their own reasons of careerism and opportunism. For the period under review, the organization resolved that in executing list replenishment, the process to be followed is that of the ward candidate from the ward with the highest votes in 2016 LGE shall assume office if in case of replacement in a municipality. Furthermore, a female shall be replaced by a female. For the period under review, the organization experienced a myriad of challenges in councillor replacement, which amongst others included the abuse of requests for deviation, e.g. provinces requesting to replace a female with a male, or replacing a person with another person who does not appear on the 2016 LGE ward candidate list. Another challenge experienced is delay in approval of draft letters sent to provinces for replacements, wherein provinces are afforded an opportunity to participate in the process of quality and accuracy check. The frequency experienced The frequently experienced challenge in councillor replacement is that following the suspension or expulsion of a councillor, municipalities refuse to process their replacement, notwithstanding them being furnished with a notice of suspension or expulsion. Instead, municipalities have a tendency of shielding the suspended or expelled member, asserting that they want to satisfy themselves that the process of suspension or expulsion was fair. The delay tactic of replacement of councillors by municipalities is meant to afford the expelled councillors enough time to take the organization to court. We have heard various instances of public representatives taking the organization to court, and amongst these were the infamous Mohale 6 of the Gauteng province. For the period under review, the organization had to replace a number of public representatives for various reasons, amongst which are resignations, death, and disciplinary proceedings outcome. These are comprised of members in the National Assembly, National Council of Provinces, provincial legislatures, and councillors. From our experience and challenges alluded to above, the course we have been called for and voluntarily surrendered ourselves demands of each of us to be selfless. At no point should our ambitions rise above that of the organization to the extent that we budget and plan our lives around the position of deployment at the hands of the organization. Similarly, nor should the organization find itself held hostage in implementing its resolutions due to individual feeling entitled to a position of deployment in any state institution. Organizational discipline. In terms of Section 22(1) of the Constitution, the CCT shall adopt a code of conduct which shall be the EFF's guide on how issues of discipline and conduct are to be internally handled. This code provides for sanctionable offenses in Section B, amongst them as listed there. Furthermore, the organization in its third plenum of January 2017 adopted its code of conduct for all EFF caucuses and public representatives, MPLs, MPs, and councillors. The code provides for inter-island principles and guidelines to inform all EFF caucuses and a detailed list of what is expected of EFF public representatives, e.g. they must come from an EFF branch, contribute to their organizational levies on time without fail, must not be gainfully employed elsewhere other than being a public representative, be available 24 hours, procure a buggy, and be involved in continuous self-capacity building and educational programs. Flowing from Section 22 of the Constitution, the Code of Conduct and Revolutionary Discipline in Section C7, provides that there shall be a National Disciplinary Committee constituted of no less than 5 CCT members. In this regard, after the first NPA, the CCT appointed an NTC comprising of 5 members and was chaired by Commissar Dalimpofu, which included Commissar Tilvali Mulaut, Susan Tembekwayo, Sheli Mokhoto, and former CCT member Mlungis Rapodile. Due to the National Chairperson's unavailability, disciplinary matters could not be finalized expeditiously, and the CCT accordingly resolved to appoint then Commissar Tembinkosi Khaula as the chairperson of the NDC. Following his resignation, as alluded to earlier, he too had to be replaced, and the CCT resolved that he be replaced by Commissar Delisile Ngwenya. Today, the composition of the NDC is as follows, number 1 to number 5. Period under review, a number of members have appeared before the NDC, of which some have been found guilty, while some have been acquitted. Others have been issued with notices of reprimand. Charges leveled against members usually involve non-payment of party levies, double dipping, failure to purchase a party, minimal or failure to be involved in organizational activities, and bringing the organization to disrepute through disruptive or criminal conduct. Similarly, provinces have been called upon to establish provincial disciplinary committees in terms of Section C9 of the Code. The National Prosecutor has been approved by the CCT, and all 9 provinces have heard their provincial prosecutors approved by the National Prosecutor. All 9 provinces have functional PGCs and effective provincial prosecutors. To date, numerous features appear before all 9 PDCs. Compliance with Section D24. Some of these matters were brought before PDCs and their PCTs and before CCTs for consideration, given that the outcome was either expulsion or suspension. In the period under review, 64 fighters were expelled and 6 were suspended, and a detailed breakdown to this effect is contained in this report. In terms of the NDCA, in accordance with Section CA, the CCT established the Appeals Committee comprised of the DP, assisted by the DSG and the TG, Commissarian. In the period under review, 5 matters were heard, 3 appeals were upheld, 2 appeals were dismissed. In terms of Section C5 of the Code of Conduct and Revolutionary Discipline, the NDC is the Appeal Committee of First Instance for matters flowing from PDCs. To this date, the NDC is sitting as an appeal committee considered 11 matters, of which 6 were upheld and 5 were dismissed. Section D25 of the Code of Conduct and Revolutionary Discipline provides that the decision of the CCT to confirm a suspension or expulsion may, on application by the offender, be placed before the National People's Assembly as the subject of final review or appeal. In this regard, the organization has received 8 applications for review of NDCA findings that should be placed before this NPA as a subject of final review or appeal in compliance to Section D25. These matters that require the second NPA's attention are found in Annexure B at the end of the report. The NPA is advised to take a decision in all these matters as mandated by the Code of Conduct and the Constitution. Special NDC dispensation for public representatives. Section C10 of the Code of Conduct for all caucuses and public representatives provides that all EFF public representatives must acquire driving license and must buy packages or vehicles that are able to drive in difficult routes and transport other fighters as well for other organizational activities. Flowing from this decision, all public representatives were directed to buy vehicles and packages. However, following the 2019 national and provincial elections, various by-elections and general organizational activities, the organization noted with disappointment that some public representatives did not respect and observe the Code of Conduct and undermined and weakened the organizational capacity to run successful elections campaign and carry out the organizational work. The CCT then resolved to set up a special National Disciplinary Committee. The Special National Disciplinary Committee was established to operate as an ad hoc committee whose mandate was specifically to process matters relating to public representatives who failed to purchase a party, who added no value in organizational growth, who were nowhere to be found or minimally present in the run-up to the 2019 election. In this regard, the CCT appointed commissars Renelwe Mashabela, Marshal Amin, Natasha Ntlangwini, Sam Matthias, Fighter Vuyan Pambo as members of this NDC. On the 23rd September 2019, the SGO confirmed the readiness of the prosecution to proceed with about 210 cases. On the 30th September 2019, the SNDC compiled the hearing schedules which anticipated hearings to run from the 14th of October to 6th November. A table with detailed insight on the work of the SNDC is contained in the report, from which delegates shall note that a total number of 255 names were submitted, 210 were set down, 185 accused persons attended, 25 did not attend. The nature of charges is also contained in the report. The SNDC further noted a flaw in the process of how public representatives were identified and subsequently submitted by provinces to the SGO to answer to the allegations. Specifically, it became evident that RCTs and PCTs did not properly audit and verify whether or not public representatives purchased packages and or availed those packages to the organization. And further, RCTs and PCTs did not satisfy themselves that names of public representatives submitted to the SGO were submitted on valid grounds. Instead, the SNDC found that upon hearing the cases, there were those with no basis which were brought before it. Furthermore, there were cases where RCTs and PCT members who appeared as witnesses for the prosecution declared the charged members innocent, notwithstanding the fact that the names emanated from these structures. There were further cases where RCTs and PCT members even appeared as witnesses for the charged members, notwithstanding the fact that the names emanated from these structures. This then calls into question the fairness and objectivity of the process of RCTs and PCTs in submitting names to the SGO. Furthermore, some officials of PCTs, RCTs, and other CCT members were known to have bakkies, and yet their names were not submitted. The assignment of the SNDC has been sufficiently carried out. Suffice to state that its work is still ongoing. Particularly, the SNDC is currently in the process of consolidating the huge volume data and deliberating on appropriate verdicts and sanctions in the interest of fairness, which will be communicated to all at once. It is recommended to the incoming CCT to be seized with the assignment to conclude all outstanding matters related to the mandate of the SNDC. Office of the Treasurer General. The circumstances in which Commissioner Matthys was elected Treasurer General has been earlier alluded to. Office of the TG is led by Commissioner Matthys. A separate report on financial administration and management of resources of the organization shall be separately tabled to this NPA. However, the CCT has always received annual financial reports as audited and presented to Parliament, the legislatures, and the IEC. Delegates will note from the report of the Treasurer General that the financial standing of the organization is healthy, except for the year 2015 in the provinces of Mpumalanga and Northern Cape. It should further be noted that subsequently, the two provinces improved drastically, and to date, they have not been a cause for concern in financial management. Details in this regard will be provided by the Treasurer in her report to this second NPA. We thank you, TG Commissioner Matthys, for holding the fort as elected by the CCT. Elections. Section B21 of the EFF Constitution provides that the organizations strive to capture political and state power through whatever revolutionary means possible to transform the economy for the benefit of all, and in particular Africans. This is based on the founding manifesto, wherein it states that economic freedom fighters will contest political power because we are guided by the firm belief that we need political power in order to capture the state and then transform the economy for the emancipation of Black South Africans, especially Africans. The founding manifesto went further and stated that the forms in which the EFF contests political power will from time to time be reviewed in the light of prevailing circumstances. Since the first NPA, the organization has participated in contested 2 elections, 2016 LGE and 2019 NPA. President is responsible for election, has since established the election office. The role of the elections office is to plan for elections, and this includes national and provincial government, local government, and by-elections when they are declared by the Independent Elections Commission. The elections office is also responsible for the registration of candidates and maximum participations in the elections. This has been done through mobilization, postering of pamphlets, posters, billboards, campaigns, manifesto, and list processes. A detailed performance analysis per province on the 2016 LGE is found from page 54 to page 58 of the report. National Provincial Elections. The CCT of the 13th August 2018 established the CETF convened by the President, and the names are found in page 59, and those names should also include Dr. Tembekwayo Susan. All provincial chairpersons and secretaries were also members of the CETF. This approach was different from the one deployee, one municipality, as happened with the 2016 LGE. The CETF convened 8 times and established the following committees to deal with the 2019 National and Provincial Elections. Manifesto Committee held by the DP, Campaign and Mobilization led by Komsam Gcini, Communication led by Dr. Ndlozi, and the Legal Committee led by the SG. CETF further resolved on Manifesto Consultative Assemblies scheduled with different constituencies. This process was aimed at improving and enhancing the quality of the People's Election Manifesto. The consultative assemblies are listed in page 60 of the report. In 2019, ahead of the 2019 elections, many supporters and members gathered at Giant Stadium in Soshanguve on the 2nd February 2019 to witness the unveiling of the EFF 2019 People's Assembly. The theme was Our Land and Jobs Now, and we agreed on a program of EFF Red Friday. This theme echoed in the various provinces and indeed was seen in 8 provincial rallies which were held on the 23rd of March 2019 in Limpopo and Mpumalanga, 24th March 2019 in KZN and Northern Cape, 30 March 2019 in Eastern Cape and Western Cape, and 31st March 2019 in Free State and Northwest. Commander-in-Chief addressed in all 8 provincial rallies which were a success. However, this was unprecedented in any political party to have so many provincial rallies of such a huge magnitude within a very short space of time across relatively far areas to each other, all addressed by a single person. In addition to the 8 rallies mentioned above, Gauteng Province hosted the Chela Tupa rally on the 5th of May at Orlando Stadium in Soweto. Once more, this rally saw the stadium full to capacity and the Commander-in-Chief addressed therein on matters relating to the elections as a final push towards the 2019 national and provincial elections, by-elections. For the period 28 January 2015 to 27 November 2019, the IEC declared 434 by-elections in wards, and the organization participated in 331 by-elections. These by-elections included a rerun in Ngutu municipality, 17 wards, Metsimahulu, 21 wards. Recently, the municipality of Mamuza has been dissolved and all 9 wards have been declared for election rerun on the 15th of January 2020. The period under review, the organization has won only 2 by-elections after 2016 in the Northwest, the Tsobotla Ward 15 and Limpopo Polokwane Ward 10. A detailed indication of the number of by-elections in wards declared in the period under review, how many the organization participated in, and also where there was non-participation is found in the report in page 65 to 66 respectively. From the analysis, it is clear that all provinces are affected by non-participation in by-elections, with the highest being KZN with 27, followed by Western Cape and Eastern Cape with 17 wards each. Furthermore, the report contains a table which indicates the total number of votes received by the organization per province for the period under review. The table is a true reflection of organizational performance in by-elections and reflects provincial leadership's commitment to by-elections activities in their provinces. There is a linear relationship between performance in by-elections by provinces, as will be seen in the above table, and the number of non-participation in by-election by provinces. Poor provinces in by-election is found in the provinces of Eastern Cape at 5%, KZN at 3%, and Western Cape at 3%. High number of non-participation in by-election is found in the same 3 provinces, Eastern Cape, KZN, and Western Cape. We recommend plenary to take a dim view of such contemptuous conduct by provincial chairpersons and secretaries, regional chairpersons and secretaries on poor performance in by-elections, and recommend to the incoming CCT for stiff penalties should such once more occur. It has been noted that there are reports that by-election candidate posters are of low and poor quality, and that in some instances they arrive late. However, intervention to improve in this limitation has been made. There have also been isolated and unfortunate reports of candidates for by-elections not being registered. Interventions including remedial and/or disciplinary steps have accordingly been involved. Of particular concern is the 103 ones wherein the organization did not participate in the by-elections on account of unregistered candidates, even though the organization has paid the participation fee of 1,000 rand per candidate. This number represents 24% non-participation, a huge concern. The reasons for non-participation includes but not limited to failure to pay attention to deals, particularly by provincial chairpersons and provincial secretaries as liaison officers of the organization with IEC. This is despite several reminders from the elections office at HQ having full-time paid provincial secretaries, regional secretaries, and provincial organizers at the expense of the organization. We recommend plenary to take a dim view of such contemptuous conduct by this leadership on non-participation in by-election despite payment made by the organization, and recommend to the incoming CCT for swift, stiff penalties should such once more occur. We have noted with concern the organization's performance is poor on by-elections. Our candidates often do not appeal to the community, and this may be one of the reasons for the poor performance. Also, we do not have strong machinery at branch level, and there is a need for PCTs to improve in this regard. It is recommended that the incoming CCT should pay special attention on voter education for the purpose of registering to vote, checking voting status, updating voting status in case of relocation, and proper appending of voting mark in the ballot paper. Experience has shown that our people are turned away from queues due to issues of relocation, and there has been a big number of spoiled votes year in, year out whenever there are national elections. Other structures and organs of the organization and their functions. Much about structures and organs of the EFF and their functions are detailed in page 67 to 68 of the report. However, we need to pay special attention to the report on the last paragraphs of page 68 on the issue of the Youth Command and the Women's Command. The CCT on various occasions has extensively deliberated on the possibility of formation of these structures and held the view that it is not an opportune time to form these structures as the organization itself was at its formative phase. However, the CCT has commissioned drafting of conceptual papers in relation to the Women's Command, and the CCT has deliberated in this conceptual paper, and the process is ongoing. Furthermore, Section 17 envisages the formation of the EFF Student Command. The first CCT resolved that the Deputy President be tasked with the responsibility of ensuring of the formation of the EFF Student Command, so as to ensure the presence of the organization in institutions of higher learning, TVETs, and universities. This structure has been formed on the 16th June 2015 at its inaugural Student Assembly in Limpopo, and details about its formation and activities will be alluded to later in the report. Deployment. These are found in pages 69 and 74, and there were subsequent reshuffling. All heads of portfolio committees, save for a few in the organization, did not perform at all for both objective and subjective reasons we shall allude to later. The few heads of committees who were visible in their work and constituted such committees are communication, organizing elections, health, security, and political education, organizational programs. At the beginning of every year, the organization would without fail meet in order to plan for the year ahead and resolve on tasks which need to be rolled out. This will be in the form of plenum. Plenum ordinarily develops an annual program of action. The NPOA activities are held from the highest level to the lowest level and were held nationally, the events will be rotated throughout the provinces. These programs of actions are found in page 75 to page 99. We will not be in the position to go through all these pages of the programs, but delegates will have the opportunity to read overnight and engage with them in the commission. However, of importance, with due respect, in the absence of the president of AMCU, is that the organization did donate 1 million rand to the Marikana Trust for Widows and Children, which amount, thank you very much, which amount was never acknowledged, nor a letter of thank you was ever received, which led to the organization, its leadership, taking a decision never again to participate in a Marikana commemoration activities. We shall not bore you with the activities of the organization, except to inform you that we did indeed held memorial services of El Commandant Fidel Castro, of Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and President Robert Mugabe in the years 2016, 2018, and 2019. On international relations and solidarity. Section 13b(4) of the Constitution provides inter alia that the Deputy President shall represent the organization in important domestic and international forums. At its first sitting after the NPA, the CCT resolved that the Deputy President shall be assigned and deployed to international relations portfolio. The preamble of the organization's constitution in defining the character of the EFF provides, amongst other things, that we are an anti-imperialist movement with an internationalist outlook driven by a sound democratic socialist values, and further that we shall associate with the poorest, with the protest movements and join the struggles that defies unjust laws. To this regard, the Department on International Relations engaged in programs which are found in page 96 up to page 99 of the report. However, the recommendation is that plenary and the incoming CCT should consider appointing a full-time staff member or commissar, in fact, commissar under the guidance of the presidency, so as to maximally enhance and harness the EFF participation in international progressive platforms and build relations with progressive forces in the continent. State of provinces. We have outlined the state of provinces on the report, which moves from page 100 to page 120. We are not in a position to go through those pages. However, we can report that all provinces have subsequently been convened to second PPAs, except for KZN, Eastern Cape, and Northern Cape, which had at a certain point in time to be disbanded. Even though they have held their NPA, they had to go to another NPA because of the state of weaknesses. However, all said and done, throughout provinces, there is a measure of hope and there is a potential for growth. Most provinces are stable, except for two regions, one in Eastern Cape and one in the KZN, which are not launched. However, all 51 of the 53 regions have been launched. All 9 provincial PPAs have been convened and elected leadership, and most of the elected leadership are still active as of today. We shall now proceed to the EFF Student Command. Section 17 of the Constitution provides for the establishment of the EFF Student Command. It provides that the student command shall be established as an autonomous structure existing in all institutions of higher learning and post-secondary. A detailed report on EFF student command from 2015 to 2019 is found from page 120 to page 132. The report provides detailed information on the EFF student command elected leadership on the first, second, and third national student assemblies. When and where these national student assemblies were held, together with an indication of gender representation, seats acquired and lost in student representative councils, programs held in the period under review, EFF student command branches launched in institutions of higher learning and related information. Among the key programs the EFF student command initiated and participated in are the following: Sizofunda Ngenkani campaign, characterized by walk-ins, one province, 1 million votes, fees must fall, insourcing now, provisions of meals a day to deserving students, provision of sanitary to deserving students, and marching in solidarity with students in nursing councils, and participation in the Zuma motion of no confidence, and the EFF student command solidarity with students under CETA programs. The programs on student command, detailed report on EFF student command is found on page 120 to page 131. It should be noted that in page 131, it's where we have an indication that the student command has grown its membership from 10,000 in 2015 to 16,000 in 2017 and 24,000 in 2019. However, there are 61 university campuses and 256 campuses of TVETs, and in both these institutions and campuses, the EFF is only found in 127 campuses, which represents 40% of a national footprint of the EFF student command, what we can call a dismal performance by the student command. We shall now proceed to page 132 on governance. Governance is a responsibility that falls in the office of the Deputy President and primarily driven through the Governance Task Unit. A detailed account on governance is found from page 132 to page 158 of the report. It alludes to the 2 elections in the period under review in which the organization participated, elections outcome in councils, 9 provincial legislatures, National Assembly and National Council of Provinces. It further alludes to special governance arrangements in hung local municipalities and metros where insignificant achievements were recorded by the organization on accounts of its swing votes. Some of these achievements relate to insourcing of workers in all the metros that are hung and holding the executive accountable through motions of no confidence, which resulted in a number of mayors and speakers removed by initiatives of our own councillors. The report further alludes to the establishment of the Governance Task Unit headed by the Deputy President, activities it engaged with, and reports on list replenishments. The governance report further alludes to activities of our MPLs in all the 9 provincial legislatures, the National Assembly, and the Council of Provinces. The report lays bare the challenges and limitations on governance matters and strides accomplished in the National Assembly through debates, motions, questions, and tabling of bills initiated by the organization. We will see that in page 146, it is alluded to on the important achievements in Parliament since the first NPA, page 146. Furthermore, the EFF used its parliamentary participation to table laws and or initiate process to draft the following the bills that will change the economic architecture of South Africa to benefit South Africans. These bills are found in page 147 of the report. At the end of this report that is before you, there are annexures that are found from page 165 to page 181. Of particular note, plenary is requested to pay special attention to Annexure B at page 166 and take a resolution on the way forward in terms of Section D25 applications for those councillors who were double dipping, who stole money of the organization, and who prematurely took the organization to court, and those who were defiant, insubordinate, and disobedient to the resolutions of the Central Command teams. We shall then proceed to the end of the report as we conclude this report on page 158 of the report. In the period under review, the country, the organization, and the world lost activists, leaders, and eminent persons of society. Among these are the late Commissar Tumsan Ngongwane, who passed away on the 26th of February 2016. Commissar Tumsan is the first coordinator of Mpumalanga province in 2013, until his election as an additional CCT member in 2014. May his soul rest in perfect revolutionary peace. On the 25th of November 2016, we woke up to the news of the fall of the gallant internationalist soldier, El Comandante Fidel Castro. Africa, and in particular Angola, Namibia, and South Africa, will forever remain indebted to this general of the victorious Cuto-Cunovale battle that saw apartheid soldiers screaming back with their tails in between their legs to Pretoria, running away from the guns and cannon of the Cuban military missiles. To his soul and those of international Cuban martyrs in Africa, we salute and lower our banner in their honor. A dark cloud covered the skies of South Africa on the 2nd of May 2018, when the mother of the nation, Mama Nomzamo Winnie Madikizela Mandela, passed on. The organization views this somber occasion with particular attention, given that Mama Winnie played a vital role in the ushering of democracy and never dissociated herself from the organization until she passed away. In April 2016 and 2019, the CIC laid to rest his aunts, Nes Malema and Mama Hulu Selina Maropeng, respectively. And in May 2019, the CIC laid to rest his grandma, Koko Sara Malema. People who not only contributed tremendously to his upbringing and very dear to him, but very active members and supporters of the EFF. We share the pain with you and your family, President, for such a devastating loss. 6th of September 2019, and Africa and the oppressed people of the world unbelievably woke up to the sad news of the passing away of the son of Africa, President Robert Mugabe. President Mugabe refused to bow to the white supremacy despite devastating economic sanctions in retaliation for the restoration of land ownership to the people of Zimbabwe. The period under review, our hardworking members of the CCT lost their dearly loved ones, and amongst them are Fighter Bongani Msane, husband of Commissar Tembi Msane, Mr. George Mopai, husband of Commissar Neilwe Mashabela, Master Solomon Bata, brother of the Secretary General, and Mrs. Nosebenzile Mpofu, mother of the National Chairperson, Commissar Dali Mpofu. Furthermore, The country and the world knew no pain more than the loss of many gallant fighters, sports persons and artists, etc. Amongst them, Senyaka Kekana, John Shoes Mosheu, Muhammad Ali, Mandoza Mtuduzi Chabalala, Lundi Chamara, Joe Mafela, Philip Khosana, Ray Piri, Robi Malinga, Huma Sikele, Kriopatse, Hosisile, Comrade Ahmed Katrada, Mama Zonden Sobukwe, Aretha Franklin, Prokit, Linda Mkize, Double HP, Jablan Tambo, Oliver Mtukudzi, Phil Masinga, Sam Meiwa, Mama Nom Tlenkonyeni, Chester Williams, Xolani Kwala, King Pendulo Sikau, Pastor Nay Zimu, and Comrade Ben Duro. And to many victims of femicide, amongst them Karabo Mokwena, Uinene Mkhwechane, and Precious Namabulane, we assure your spirit and recommit our organization to the continued women emancipation and fight against women and girl abuse. We dip our banner in memory of the many victims of farm murders, amongst them Matlomola Moshwe and Anele Hoyana. To their spirit too, we commit never to rest until we achieve expropriation of land without compensation. Cheers. We lower our flag in memory of men student activists who passed in the line of duty for free education in our lifetime. Amongst them, Mlungisi Matonsela and Benjamin Pehla. To your generation, we commit the EFF to the struggle for free education in our lifetime. Furthermore, in the period under review, the organization has been hit by a wave of unfortunate and sad occasions of death of its most trusted and committed fighters, amongst them public representatives of the organization. A detailed list of obituaries is attached here to and marked Annex G on page 179 to page 181, making a total of 49 very important fighters of the organization and leaders who left us in the course of the period under review. May their souls rest in perfect revolutionary peace. Comrades and fighters, commissars, and delegates, the organization has seen both qualitative and quantitative growth. The strategy of the organization can not only be measured by the milestone it has reached, but also through various political metrics forms. As already pointed out, the EFF is a relatively young political formation which has grown rapidly in comparison to other political parties prior to its formation and post its formation. As Frantz Fanon will correctly put it, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. In response to this revolutionary task enunciated in the famous quotation of the revolutionary comrade Frantz Fanon, we can proudly state that we have laid what we consider to be a solid foundation to fulfill the generational mission, our battle cry, economic freedom in our lifetime. We have set in motion a revolutionary machinery which would otherwise, in its absence, have resulted in an unled revolution resulting in anarchy. The strides so far achieved by this revolutionary militant movement would certainly have not been possible without the support of those close to us, the membership, the staff, the volunteers, the sponsors, and supporters. What now lies ahead for the leadership to be elected here is the immediate task of continuing the struggle of our people and doing so selflessly and conscientiously, consolidating the ground towards a socialist power. To each and every branch delegate that is present here today at this second NPA, On behalf of the first democratically elected CCT, we wish to thank you and appreciate you for making the work of the organization achievable at branch level. We have been able to communicate with each and every branch member and branch leadership through social media, short message system, WhatsApp groups, and direct letters. We have always received feedback from time to time from you. Your wisdom and counsel has always been appreciated, even though at times we did not ordinarily agree with you, but you have nonetheless shaped this organization to what it is today. Thank you. To the delegates of the regional structures present here today, take back the message and resolutions of this second NPA. To the branch members, branch leadership, and your colleagues in the RCT, let them know that this first CCT has always appreciated your tremendous contribution to the work of the organization, and more especially making the discharge of the responsibility of this outgoing leadership easily attainable. We thank you. To the delegates of provincial structures, led by their respective chairpersons and secretaries, please go back to the provincial membership and ground forces in your provincial general people's assemblies and transmit to them the message that this outgoing CCT has at all times treasured their cooperation in making the work of the organization seamless and efficiently executable. And to you too, we say thank you. To the collective outgoing CCT, led by the President and Commander-in-Chief, we had a demanding and challenging term. However, we have at all material times valued each other's wisdom and counseling as we engage with the political overview by the President and organizational report in the past 26 CCT meetings that we have held since the last NPA. We pay tribute to you, Commander-in-Chief, and the collective as we mark the end of our term. And we wish those who will be nominated and make it to the second NPA CCT a fruitful 5-year journey towards 2024 third NPA. The journey ahead is characterized by challenging events of 2021 LGE and 2024 NPE. You dare not lower the guard and drop the ball. To you two outgoing CCT members, we say thank you. To the officials led by the President and Commander-in-Chief, on behalf of the delegates and membership not present here, we wish to thank you all for making the work of the organization far easier, seamless and efficient in the discharge of the responsibilities entrusted to this outgoing CCT of the first NPA. To the incoming CCT officials, the bar has been set high, and please take note that there is no room for mediocre, for we shall have failed our people. A decisive victory in 2021 local government elections and 2024 national provincial elections is not an option but a revolutionary obligation. To you, top six, we also say thank you. To the Commander-in-Chief and President of the EFF, the 5 years of the organization had its own trying times and pleasurable moments. But at all material times, you were a beacon of light in times of desperation. You counseled us and we rose up far more wiser. The critical and constructive but fruitful engagement at all material times, inside and outside the CCT, the War Council, the officials' meetings, in social, political, and family spaces, points to your consistent concern in the growth and development of this glorious revolutionary movement. We never took your counseling and wisdom for granted. We thank you, and we wish you well for many years to come. No amount of words of gratitude will ease the pain and difficulties your family had to go through during your absence whilst in the service of the organization and the nation. We have shared and continue to share the pains of your tribulations in the face of hostile state persecutions. We request all CCT members present here today, as they go back home on the 16th of December, to extend our sincere gratitude to their families, next of kin and loved ones, for they never complained all the days and times in the organization deployed, when the organization deployed you far away from them. Tell them asante sana and thank you very much. Commissars of the CCT, you discharge your responsibilities with exceptional excellence and distinction. Extend our sincere appreciation to your families and loved ones for making you available to us and their patience whilst you were away, spending a significant portion of your time with our people on the ground, building this organization. If it was not for these family members, partners and spouses, you would not have carried your mandate and executed it with excellence that you have done to this point in time. Please tell our family members we say thank you. To our public representatives, you were present during mass mobilization for successful rallies and elections work. Your contribution to the revolution through party levies and bakkies contributed tremendously and cannot go unnoticed. And to you too, we say thank you. To the staff members of the organization in the headquarters, provincial and regional offices, as well as Parliament, the provincial legislatures, councils and metros, volunteers from time to time, to you too, we extend our appreciation for all the complementary tasks you have and continue to employ in the organization on the discharge of organizational revolutionary tasks. Your long hours spent in building this organization away from home, often foregoing much, is sincerely cherished. Please let your families know that we value you and treasure their patience during your absence in their lives. And to you, staff members of the organization, we too say thank you to you. To our sponsors who assisted prior to the 2014 and even post the 2019 elections, we acknowledge that you were never ashamed of being associated with us. The people of South Africa shall forever be indebted to your generosity in the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. You, together with professionals across society who assisted us pro bono, stood with fighters unapologetically in the midst of intense attack of your person, family, and business. To the media, print and electronic, audio and visual, we kept a close eye on you, and thank you for covering us in all our major programs and this NPA. We had our battles in court at times, but we can assure you of your press freedom, except when it descends to the political arena, masquerading as journalists whilst acting as politicians in the form of Stratcom. We see you even though you are not here. To the people of South Africa, the African continent, and Africans in diaspora, we thank you, and your support will never go unnoticed. Today, in this second NPA, gathered here, we return this organization to its rightful owners, representatives of membership, intact as it was handed to us in the first NPA of 2014. We salute each and every person present here today and those with us in soul and spirit, scattered all over the world. And we enjoin you to continued cementing of this organization, regardless of race, gender, and creed. In us lies the hope of the people of South Africa, the African continent, and Africans in diaspora. May we continue serving our people with humility, patience, and selflessness. Forward to consolidating of ground towards socialist power. Forward! Forward to consolidating the ground towards socialist power. Forward! Amandla! Thank you very much.
Matla, Karuna, Matla, Karuna. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. At least you woke us up with that song. Yeah, I forgot. Remember when Matunjwa said the haters of the EFF thought it was not going to last even for 6 months. And we must tell them we are here. 6 years later, we are. Thank you. So to them we will say they are going to bazolala ngenxeba. Bazophefumula. It means breathing through. Yes, all the haters can breathe through the wound. Thank you. Okay, please, let's listen now to the line of march. This is what's going to happen now. There are delegations that have asked for time to caucus. So we're going to break for 15 minutes or so to allow those who want to caucus. Then, in that period, the media and our guests will be excused. Because when we come back after that caucus break, we are going to take the TG's report, which is a closed session. Then this is what's going to happen. Instead of discussing those reports immediately, we are going to move, or rather we'll call back the people because the next session will be open before we discuss the reports. Once we've called back the guests and the media, then we're going to take nominations for the top 6. And then what will happen is that if there is going to be contestation, as you know from the PPAs, then there must be time for printing of ballots and all that. While that is being done, we are then going to use that time, instead of sitting and idling, we'll use that time to discuss the 2 reports. And once we've finished discussing the two reports, then hopefully the people who do the ballots will have finished. Then we start going into commissions. And then people will vote according to, it will be explained. So commission 1 goes to vote, commission 2 goes to vote, and so on. That way we will save a lot of time instead of having idling time, to try and save some of the time that we are behind by. Is it clear? Okay, so now the immediate thing that's going to happen is we're going to break. We come back into the closed session. Immediately after that, we take nominations for the top 6, and then we discuss the two reports. So if you have questions or any issues, please note them for the discussion that will happen after the nominations for the top 6. Mandla! The time now is 1934, let's say 35. So can we be back? All right, let's make it 25-minute break. So it's 25 to 8 now. Please, by 8 o'clock, we must be here and we start. Thank you. Oh, this one works. Amanda.
Amanda.